Hello everyone, I'm the Weather Dude, welcome back, and today we are talking about, yet again, Tropical Storm Eta. This is definitely a serious threat, considering it's November. Activity can die down this time of year, but we still can see some systems, and we have one here that we have to talk about. Eta potentially become a hurricane, so to find out more, stay tuned for the whole video, and enjoy. If you'd like staying up to date with the latest weather forecasts and updates, then please consider hitting the subscribe button below. Let's see how fast we can get to 2,000 subscribers. Also, to help this video's performance very much, please consider clicking the like button and sharing this video with your friends. Also, please consider watching the whole video. Thank you. Now let's get on with today's video. And not only do we have Eta, but we have two other areas of disturbances here. So hopefully those will be for later videos, maybe another day. So definitely ring the bell notifications for when those come out. But Disturbance 1 and Disturbance 2 are in the Atlantic as well. One in the Caribbean, where Eta is now exiting, and one in the Northern Atlantic. But obviously we're talking about Eta today. 65 mile-an-hour sustained winds as of the 11 a.m. latest update. And pressure's down to 993 millibars. All right, so it's pretty low pressure. Movement is due north right now at 14 miles an hour. It is heading towards Florida. But we're going to be talking about the threat mainly for Cuba, the Bahamas, and Florida in today's video, and maybe heading towards the Gulf Coast. That's definitely a bit more long-term, though. All right. But first, I do actually kind of want to explain here. Is just actually, that is not the latest storm track. We actually have the latest one coming in. I almost forgot, hurricane. Like I said, it's expected to develop into a hurricane now. But why the coastal threat, the coastal flood threat for Florida has been so, like, it's been enhanced a lot because we've had Eta developing and moving to the north, but we've also had this big high pressure. I'll actually show you on another map in just a little bit. That's been building to the north as well. So we have the high and the low that are right here, and that allows the wind to come in from this way. We had a persistent onshore wind from the east coast of Florida, and once Eta comes in, it's only going to get worse. So currently 65 mile-an-hour sustained winds again. All right, moving to the north. Now it probably will become a hurricane just as it's exiting Florida. So the Florida Keys, that's why you guys are under a hurricane warning. Then remaining barely a Cat 1 hurricane, moving meandering through the Gulf, and then maybe heading back towards the west coast of Florida as a strong tropical storm. So the earliest reasonable arrival time for those tropical storm force winds, definitely for southern Florida, I would definitely say like the middle afternoon tomorrow, or middle of this afternoon, Sunday. I forgot today's Sunday. So the middle of this afternoon, and then central Florida, definitely I would think like more so tonight and overnight. Right, but they do think, the National Hurricane Center thinks that they could get to the Gulf Coast. Maybe we start to see these tropical storm force winds advance northwestward, so maybe it gets to the Panhandle. We'll have to see. All right, so definitely something we have to keep our eyes on. Now, the wind field. Look, you can see this is when Eta first developed. The narrow path of tropical storm force winds. Then the wind field grew in size, right? All right, and then it made landfall. It shrunk into a tropical depression. Then it reformed here as a tropical storm. But look, the wind field is growing even more again, just like it did the first time. So the wind field, the TS wind field is definitely growing. Central Cuba and the Cayman Islands, you guys have been feeling those tropical storm force winds. This eventually will be bending up and hitting the Bahamas as well as Florida. All right, so the interactive map. Let's pull up the interactive map. I definitely do have to refresh. All right, there we go. So as you can see, a strong tropical storm with 70 mile-an-hour sustained winds gusting to 85 miles per hour, 7 p.m. tonight. All right. But notice, as it heads towards the Florida Keys, it is now a Cat 1 hurricane with winds of 90 miles an hour, or a wind gust of 90, sustained winds of 75. But remember, a 75 mile-an-hour Cat 1 and a 70 mile-an-hour tropical storm, there's really no difference. All right, then actually does remain a 75 mile-an-hour Cat 1 hurricane for a long time. Then eventually will start falling back to a 65 and a 60 mile-an-hour tropical storm. It may start to weaken as it enters the eastern Gulf. We'll have to see. But there's definitely some hurricane warnings for the Florida Keys. We have storm surge watches as well, warnings for Miami, all right, up through Cape Coral. We got TS warnings all the way up to the east coast of Florida. We got tropical storm warnings. And that's because of the wind enhancement from that high pressure to the north I was telling you about. Then Freeport and Nassau in the Bahamas, we have tropical storm force or tropical storm warnings for you guys, as well as down there in Cuba. All right, so key messages for the storm system. All right, again, heavy rain from Eta is going to spread into Cuba, Jamaica, Bahamas, and into Florida. You got tropical storm conditions for Cuba and the northwestern Bahamas. Hurricane conditions could impact Florida as well this afternoon, and we have some dangerous storm surge because, like, initially this was going to impact Florida as a mid-level tropical storm. It has now been upgraded to a Cat 1 hurricane. I was always saying all along that it could develop into a potential hurricane, and it is now. All right, so definitely have to get ready. I feel like when it's a tropical storm, people tend not to care about it as much, but once it becomes a hurricane, people just like to snap into it and get ready. So hopefully the fact that it's expected to develop into a hurricane, hopefully people will be preparing. And either way, even if it's a tropical storm, you guys should still be preparing. Now, the storm surge watches from Naples through Homestead, Miami, but down into the Keys, closer to that storm center, we have storm surge warnings that are in effect now. So definitely, that means the storm surge is definitely coming. All right, now storm surge graphic really hasn't changed since yesterday. It did get bumped from 2 to 3 to 2 to 4 feet yesterday. Hasn't really changed today. I was surprised because the fact that it got upgraded to a Cat 1 hurricane, I think the surge could be, I definitely think closer to 4 feet, maybe even 5 feet at times. All right, so 2 to 4 feet of surge, which is the highest surge, is forecast from Bonita Beach down to the dry Tortugas, then up through Golden Beach. That's where, and of course the Florida Keys. That's where the 2 to 4 feet of surge will be. But up the eastern coast of Florida, from the Altalama Sound in Georgia, like Savannah, all the way down to Golden Beach, in between those two locations, you can see 1 to 2 feet of surge. But just remember that the wind here, I feel like the winds have been just lasting a lot longer on the eastern coast of Florida, so you're going to have your own kind of storm surge event. I think Eta will definitely help to influence some water level rise, but the main water level rise will definitely be in southern Florida where the storm is going to track. Now, the rainfall. All right, this is going to be, and remember, this is additional on top of what we've already seen. So southeastern Florida and southern Florida, 6 to 10 inches of rain. Although it looks like the core of the rainfall, like 15 to 20, will be well off into the open waters of the Gulf. But still, we're talking about at least a couple or a few inches of rain for the southern half of Florida. I think northern Florida, as of now, doesn't look like as much rain, but still an inch or two for northern Florida once this does track up that way. But the Bahamas, they're still recovering from so many recent hurricanes. Still 6 to 10 inches of rain for you guys as well, additional. So the flash flood risk. What is the flash flood risk here for the next 3 days? Definitely the biggest threat is in southeastern Florida, but definitely other parts of Florida, like central and northern part of the state, could still see some rainfall, and that could lead to some flooding. So again, here is Eta. Let's actually get us a little refresh. And we do have some aircraft reconnaissance as well, so that'll be interesting to look at. So 60, 65 mile-an-hour winds. Again, pressure is down to 993 millibars, which is pretty low. All right, and here is our sea surface temperature anomaly. So again, is Cuba pretty much sitting right around here right now? This is where it'll be tracking. Then into the eastern Gulf, where the waters are even warmer. Like actually, well, not, I shouldn't say they're warmer. They're farther above average. All right, but still, either way, waters are above average. When you look at the sea surface temperatures, the actual sea surface temperatures, it's warmer here. Then once it gets into the eastern Gulf, it's actually slightly cooler. Even though it's farther above average, it's still actually cooler in the eastern Gulf as it's starting to do this time of year. Like Lake Pontchartrain, for example, where New Orleans sits right there, the sea surface temperatures have now fallen below 20 Celsius. So it's already starting to get pretty cold up there, or at least the water is. So we have some aircraft reconnaissance data. All right, it's flying into the storm. This is as of, I believe, if you go back forward, that's 13. I believe this is around 9 o'clock this morning. So this is probably what, or actually around 9 or 10 o'clock. So this is probably what fed into the 11 o'clock update. All right, and we're starting to see, again, some purple spots indicating those hurricane force winds. They're trying to find some hurricane force winds. I think they're doing a good job. All right, that's just data collected in the past 10 minutes. And then we have our aircraft reconnaissance. So as you can see, they're not really finding too much, nothing too much different than what they've seen before, close to 55 knot winds. Nothing too out of the ordinary from what they were finding before. Again, 993 millibars of pressure. Just like before, there's really not going to be too much. It's not going to strengthen for right now because A, it's over land actually right now, so it's a miracle that's actually strengthening at all. And B, once it gets into the Straits of Florida, the waters are a lot calmer. They don't flow as rapidly, right? Kind of like the Caribbean Sea. Right? The Straits of Florida, the water's calmer, it's warmer. Well, obviously it won't be calm once Eta moves over it, but the waters there definitely do favor development a lot more. Let's put it that way. So the storm center right there over central Cuba. That's where the low is right now. All right, now some model tracking guidance. This is pretty important as well. Models do agree it's just going to go right through the Florida Keys, maybe just south. Even if the storm tracks south of the Florida Keys, you have to remember, all right, when a storm tracks like this, all of the worst activity is going to be on the northern side of it. If it tracks east to west, the worst activity will be on the northern side. So that's actually not good for southern Florida and the Florida Keys. then all the models pretty much call for a bend back to the east and maybe a landfall again on the west coast of Florida. So it's going to be like a double whammy. All right, so GEFS model tracks definitely have changed actually since I actually set this up like not too long ago. So this is pretty surprising. Now they call for, again, pretty much you can see the yellows here. So the pressure not changing too much between 990 and 1,000 millibars. But then after that, things just go all over the place. You really cannot tell anything at all with these models. Now, GEPS model tracks, I definitely think they agree a lot more. Right, they bend to the west and they make the turn back to the east, even though most have it stalling in the Gulf because there's really no system to pick it up. So it's not going to be moving too fast. That's something to keep in mind as well. All right, so here is the intensity guidance for Eta. All right, as you can see, getting very close to a Cat 1 hurricane. Most models actually don't bring it there. Some do make it like right on the line. Actually, a couple make it Cat 2 or Cat 3 for some reason. I don't know why, but it's possible. One model actually makes it almost a Cat 4. But most models, and definitely this will be the case, very strong tropical storm or a weak Cat 1 hurricane. Really not much difference, but I think this is what we're going to be expecting here as the storm, as Eta moves closer to Florida. All right, so here is windy.com, and as you can see, let me make sure my wind is changed to miles per hour. Okay, there we go. So here's Eta down to the south, 994 millibars of pressure. This is the European model. Look, see some wind gusts past 70 miles an hour, but I want you guys to notice. Here's the high pressure sitting right over the Delmarva to the north. We got the low to the south. So the winds have been battering the east coast of Florida for the past couple of days. All right, and some of these wind gusts. Remember, Eta is still in Cuba right now. That's where the low is, and we're already seeing winds gusting past 50 miles an hour from Port St. Lucie to Boca Raton to Miami. All right, so there's some pretty sick wind gusts. All right, wind gusts to 50 miles an hour, considering the storm is not really here yet. Now, as the storm gets closer, remember it's the European model. As the storm gets closer, the wind gusts go, again, winds of 75 miles an hour, definitely Cat 1 hurricane. Then the core of the winds approach Boca Raton and Miami. Remember, we still got the high to the north, so definitely going to enhance these, maybe even more than 65 to 70 mile an hour winds. All right, and this is going to definitely drive the water levels up. Now, this will be moving as it moves through Florida. All right, I think it will be stalling once it hits the Gulf of Mexico, and that's when it starts stalling. But notice this, guys. Even after Eta leaves, because of the way the wind wraps around the storm, we still have winds coming out of the east. All right, even after Eta leaves, we're still going to have winds. Actually, let me make sure I'm on. There we go. We're still going to have winds gusting even along the coast, 25 to 40 miles an hour at times. Definitely some strong wind gusts still. And again, why is that? Because we still have a high to the north. Now, it's now moved east a little bit, so that kind of turns the wind angle this way, but it's still angled right at the Florida coastline. At this point, the wind starts shifting even to the southeast coast, could get some stronger wind gusts as well. So the onshore wind on Florida will be relentless. It's still going. All right, so the east coast of Florida is going to have a nonstop onshore wind threat, and it may not, like every high tide, we might see flooding along the coastline. Then they have Eta redeveloping closer to a hurricane. Now, at this point, this is Wednesday, 4 o'clock in the morning with the European model. It's still an onshore wind, but it's going up the coastline more. Like, it's not going directly from east to west, but it's still angled at the coastline. Some winds passing 30 miles an hour. So this is why this is a serious threat for Florida, because the onshore winds may last for several days, if not more than a week, even after the storm is gone. So the HWRF model, right here is Eta. Again, very heavy rainfall. All right, these heavy bands that are going to be moving through is definitely going to dump some heavy rainfall. Again, several inches of rainfall is likely now for Florida, especially southern Florida. So here's a cyclonic vorticity signature. Again, you can see the energy in the storm system lifted through these bands. Obviously, the core of the system is moving right through the Keys at this point. So I think this is the main. Oops, sorry about that. I think this is the main reason that Eta will be a big threat to Florida. It's going to be the wind. All right, even though rainfall is going to be a very big threat, I think the wind it's going to be constant. All right, even though the surge it's not as much as we've seen with some recent hurricanes. Right, maybe more so 2 to 4. Maybe some areas could see 5 feet of surge. It's still dangerous. All right, not as bad as we've seen, but the fact that the 2 to 5 feet of surge could last for a long time, I think that's definitely getting some people's attention. All right, so we have the sustained winds here. HWF around 50, 60 miles an hour, but look what happens. as it entered. Now these are model. Now the National Hurricane Center has it weakening when it hits the Gulf. All the models I looked at so far have it strengthening when it hits the Gulf. Right, 64 knots is what you need for a Cat 1 hurricane. There it is, re-strengthening into a Cat 1 hurricane in the Gulf of Mexico. All right, and then well, very briefly, all right, and look at this. Look at this. Now, look at this gain strength. This is like a Cat 2 at this point. All right. Then actually the HWF calls for a Category 3 hurricane on the west coast of Florida. I don't know how I feel about this, honestly. But really, if there's no disturbance to pick it up, right? That means won't be that much shear, although shear is going up this time of year. Sea surface temperatures are not bad. They're not supporting rapid development, but still some decent heat content. Then once it crosses over Florida, it's still a 55, 60 mile an hour tropical storm. Once it crosses over Florida, then heads towards the southeast. So this will be very interesting. All right, so we're going to finish off with the GFS and the European models here. All right, so GFS, rain coming through southern Florida. And then look at this. They also have it re-strengthening in the Gulf of Mexico. So I think National Hurricane Center, once we see another update from them, the major update comes at 5, obviously. All right, so then we'll definitely see. Well, the minor update comes at 2 p.m. Major update comes at 5. So 86, close to 90 knots. That's pretty much like an upper end Cat 2. So yeah, bottom line, it's going to be a very dangerous storm. Not just what it could do to southern Florida, but maybe what might become of it in the future after that. Look at the European model. Now, they have it more so than what the National Hurricane Center was saying. Strengthening briefly when it hits the Gulf, but then once it moves to the northern Gulf, it starts weakening. And honestly, that may be a bit more realistic because of the water temperatures there. So, European model, again, calling for close to a Cat 1 hurricane, but not quite. So, let's take a look real quick at the GFS. I'm curious to see what the total precipitation is. All right, we'll go at about 7 days. I think that's pretty fair. So total precipitation with the GFS model, yeah, several inches of rain for southern Florida. This will be a pretty dangerous storm system without a doubt. So stay tuned for updates. Thank you guys for watching. I am the Weather Dude, signing off till next time. I will catch you guys in the next video.